This summer, don't get burned by your old wireless bill. Make the switch to Mint Mobile. Get 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month at mintmobile.com/VIALL. That's mintmobile.com/VIALL. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Article. Fall's coming. Seasons are changing. Every time there's a new season coming up, it's always a great time to maybe refresh a room in your house, maybe your outdoor space. Enjoy the last moments of nice weather if you are in that cold climate. We got some great outdoor pieces from Article. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're like fancy beanbag chairs that are more like lounge chairs that are great for a lot of different things. Outdoor lounging, getting some color in the sun, or just enjoying that fresh autumn air. Also, they have great couches, great furniture. Any room in the house can be upgraded with Article furniture. Article offers a curated range of mid-century, modern, coastal, and Scandi-inspired pieces that not only shine on their own, but also pair seamlessly with nearly any other Article product. The best part about Article, well, there's so many great parts, but they also have a great inventory. And when you need, when you're shopping for furniture, it's always super annoying because you have to wait forever for the furniture, but not with Article. Most of their pieces are available, ready to ship today. The customer service experience is top notch. If by some reason you're not obsessed with your Article furniture, you can easily exchange it, return it, no questions asked. Their customer care team makes that process incredible, and you're going to love their prices because they cut out the middleman and pass those savings on to you. With Article's 30-day satisfaction guarantee, you can shop with confidence, knowing that if you're not completely obsessed in love with your new furniture, you can easily return it or exchange it. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more to claim. Visit article.com/VIALL, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/VIALL for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
You're crazy.
How's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name's Patricia, and I'm 30.
How can I help, Patricia?
My best friend's relationship is making her ill, and I don't know what to do.
Okay. How ill?
Quite ill. She has really bad anxiety, and she's been having terrible panic attacks, insomnia. Yeah, she's looking pretty ill.
Does she associate her anxiety and panic attacks to her relationship, or is that something you and the rest of the friends are doing?
I think a bit of both. I think she knows that it's one of the big triggers for her, but I think that she would see it more as the anxiety is playing a role in her relationship versus it's the relationship that's causing the anxiety.
What else does she think is causing her anxiety?
Probably just work, life, stress, all of that.
Tell me about this relationship that she's in.
Actually, also, since I wrote in, they did break up.
Oh, they did? Okay.
But, well, no, it's not good yet. They're still seeing each other all the time.
Okay.
I can see on Find My Friends, she's over there a lot.
Okay. Who ended the relationship?
Him, sort of. I think he was this is not healthy. I don't think I want the same things as you. Okay. And then since they broke up, we were great, kind of a clean break. I think she was probably never going to do it. But now he's oh, maybe I do want the same things. We just need to be in a better place. And yeah, a lot of that.
Do you think they're a bad match, or do you think he's a bad guy, or both?
I think he's probably not a bad person. I think he's just not really, it's his first relationship. And I think he's probably not ready for a relationship. But I also think they're a terrible match. I think their communication styles are really different. Okay. She's an anxious person. He's very much I don't want to talk about it. She wants to plan everything. He's that makes me nervous. Yeah, it's a bit of both.
Okay. Well, what can I help you with?
I don't really know what to do about it. And I've been it's affecting me way too much. I don't know why I care so much about it.
Why is it affecting you so much? Who is this friend to you, so to speak? Is she your lifelong? Have you known her since you were 6? Do you feel pain? Obviously she's a close friend, but what you're describing is, he's not a bad guy. It's just they fight all the time, and he's, it's
I think yeah, I don't know why it's affecting me so much. Like, I think that's one of the reasons I'm calling in, and also how to talk to her about it,
Yeah.
because I'm really struggling to do it in the right way.
Does she come to you about this relationship or other people and it's exhausting, or is she afraid to even come to you guys because she kind of already knows how you all feel?
I think she knows how everyone feels. She is talking about it a bit more now because
Okay.
they've broken up, so it's a bit more like in the open. I think beforehand she wouldn't really talk about it, and then there'd be a blow up every few months, and then she would talk about it. But I think some of the reasons it's affecting me, and this is also where I don't really know how to handle it, is like I don't want to be selfish because I know that she needs support.
Mhm.
But I have like very strong feelings on it, because I'm so worried about seeing her unhappy, like in
Mhm.
the future. If she stays with him, I just don't see how they get out of this quite toxic pattern. And then I think the other thing is that it's made her like a really bad friend. It's so hard to talk to her about good stuff because I'm really worried that it will like make her sort of jealous or unhappy. And then bad stuff she just doesn't have the mental headspace for. So, and we live in different countries. So it's like even harder. You don't see her in the small day-to-day things. So I think there's like a bit of that I'm finding difficult, but I'm also mainly just like really worried about what her future looks like if they stay together.
There's not a ton you can do. In fact, like, I guess from what I'm hearing, it almost sounds like you're doing too much in a
Yeah,
sense.
probably. I think
Um,
probably.
how old is she? Around your age?
She's also 30, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's an adult person, right? And this is her life, right? And I think as adults, we have to walk a very fine line between just allowing our friends or family members to live their life. You know, you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. It doesn't sound like your friend's in any immediate danger. This is not like some dangerous bad guy she's dating who's, has her under his spell and he's gaslighting her. It's just like two people. Sounds like, he's a rookie at this, so it makes a lot of sense why maybe he's not the best communicator and why, since it's his first relationship, she probably has more control and power in this relationship than you're probably giving her credit for. Not necessarily, that only just based off of like if he is at least sincere in this, like, it's his first love, it's his first relationship. He doesn't know what it's like. And I'm speaking in very generalities here, so
Mm.
like I could be way off on this guy, but usually like in your first relationship, you don't know any better, right? You don't know if there's a better match out there for you. You don't know if the fights you have with your partner are normal. We always hear growing up that like relationships are really hard. They take work. It's not always going to be the honeymoon phase. You have to get through moments of adversity, and those are all true, right? It's just the question is this adversity that two people still like are aligned and want to come together and work through their issues, or is it just like which often happens in these toxic relationships is like they're fighting as individuals, trying to like get the other person to do what it is they think they need, and they're not equipped emotionally, or and not seeking out like third party help through couples therapy or friends who maybe like have been through it before, and trying to listen to reason. And yeah, I'd be in those types of relationships, who I don't know what she is saying to him at times or what he says to her, and in moments of fear, right? And that fear of like when they're at the crossroad of breaking up, or right now they broke up, right? Like he, according to you, like sounds like he was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want the same thing. Let's break up. And now they're already hanging out again, which like for both parties, now they're kind of really operating this place of like, do I really do this? Do I really move forward with this? Do I see this breakup through? Like, what is she saying to him to make him question his decision? What is he saying to her to make her want to, we don't really know, right? And she's in a 30, a young, early 30-year-old woman who you're not going to change her mind.
I think
When
that's
I,
the really hard thing is like I know that. I
yeah,
know she's an adult, and also she's smart, amazing. Like I but at the same time, I'm worried because, yeah, it is his
When I
first
was
relationship.
28 years old-ish, I was in the relationship that I've talked about briefly, the first time I got engaged, where my then girlfriend slash fiance like cheated on me, and that was a difficult experience. But like, yeah, I was honestly probably, it was a toxic relationship in the sense that I think that was just a very immature relationship. I think most of our relationship was based off of the idea of what we thought we looked like. And I don't think I don't think we were that compatible. In the moment, I think we liked how we looked or how we sounded. I thought it was a very superficial relationship looking back. I don't think I realized at the time, but I kind of isolated myself from my friends. Like, the more they kind of spoke out about like their opinion about the relationship I was in, or her, or just how I was with her, I distanced myself, and yeah, I I didn't lose friends, but like for a period of time, I lost touch with friends, and that was all me, like I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to deal with them. I kind of got stubborn with my point of view. Eventually, obviously, we broke up, and then like things came around, or I came around more than anything, kind of got out of my head. But thinking back to that time, especially my friends, I just wasn't that interested in hearing it. My friends had no authority over me. I guess the best way I could say it is like they were just all my peers. So it was kind of like in my mind, it was like, what do you know what do you know what you're talking about? In a very kind of stubborn, immature way. And I just find, it's like, unless she is coming to you directly and like, where you're the person she really like, she knows better, you might, yeah, in which it doesn't sound like that's the case. There's not much you can do. That being said, you mentioned you don't think she's being a very good friend right now.
No, and I did sort of speak to her about this.
Okay. How'd that go?
It actually went like I was absolutely terrified beforehand, but it was way better than I expected. But like nothing has really changed since
Sure.
then. I think I think she recognizes it, and I think she knows that like this has taken a lot of her mental headspace, and there are lots of things that because she finds like other people's relationships like pretty triggering. Like a lot of her anxiety comes around she wants commitment for the future, and he's like it's too much pressure type thing. So I think yeah, there's lots of things that she finds difficult to talk about, and she acknowledged that in the call and was like I'm really sorry and I really do care about you and all of these sorts of things.
I mean, yeah, it's like
But
she's sorry, she cares about you, but she doesn't have the emotional capability to kind of give a shit about anyone else's problems but hers right now.
and it's also been like the last 2 years because I
Yeah.
think I would have a lot more grace and patience if it was, like everyone gets like a 6 month rough patch that they can,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough because like when we are in emotional kind of fight or flight mode, and she seems to be in her fight or flight mode with this relationship, it's just very easy to justify why our feelings are more important than everyone else's around us. And again, I remember, being 28 in that period, and I definitely, like, in the moment, I wouldn't have been like, oh, I don't think but looking back, yeah, that's how I acted, and I
But it's
think,
also I get it.
yeah,
I really get it. And I understand that she doesn't have space for that. I guess it's like, how do I deal with that?
I think you kind of let it go. But the fact that, all right, so
Yeah.
like here, you've painted this picture, right? You have a friend that you care about. All right. For the past 2 years, she's been a little too pretty selfish when it comes to prioritizing her feelings above everyone else's around her. And at the end of the day, because she is not getting what she wants romantically in a relationship, she just is one of those friends who just like constantly won't stop talking about her relationship needs, or how she's being disappointed when it comes to like what she wants. And she's always comparing herself to other people who are happy, painting herself as a victim in her head and things like that. You've communicated to her that she hasn't been the best friend. she received that information and acknowledged it, but like nothing really changed. And at the end of the day, she's still, because she's still in this kind of fight or flight mode emotionally. And yet and we're at the point where it's like, as you mentioned, it's affecting you emotionally. And like now you're thinking about how it's playing a role in your head. And that's the part that you can control. You can't control her. Like, she's an adult woman. You've talked to her. Whatever happens with this guy is going to happen. It'll probably not work out. It'll probably take longer than it should for her to get to that point where it won't work out. You're just going to have to let it play out. And then you will have to decide, let's assume that like eventually they move on. When she comes crawling back, so to speak, will you offer her some grace and say, listen, I get it. I know you're going through a hard time, but like you really just kind of checked out on me and the rest of us who, I don't know how many, and I understand that this matters to you, but like, it's kind of always been about your feeling, and you'll have to decide whether you want to give her grace or not, but this is her, like, it's not like my friends, being controlled by this guy and how do I help her out? She doesn't, she's making these decisions.
She is. And like, I think I definitely will give her grace in that scenario. I think it's just really hard to watch in the interim.
Don't watch.
But I also, how? Just not like speak to her.
This type of friend, do you talk to her like every other day always? Do you still like,
we speak a lot. She's one of my closest friends.
Okay.
Yeah. But she also, it's not like she's talking about her relationship all the time. It's like, I guess it's a sort of selfishness in another way. It's more like she'll always prioritize things with him, I guess, to sort of like, in my opinion, to try and save the relationship. Yeah. I don't know if she would see it in that way. So it's not the sort of thing where I can be like, hey, we've talked about this 100 times. Like, can we not? There's other stuff going on. It's more,
she always just chooses
like, she
him.
just will never like ask about what's going on with the rest of us. Like, in person, she's often like a lot better, but she doesn't make herself particularly available. She'll never like message, just being like, just checking in, how you doing, anything like that. And yeah, I think it's also really difficult when I know that she's finding it so hard, but she like really struggles to be vulnerable as well. So then
what do you mean she struggles to be vulnerable?
Like, she won't necessarily like really talk it through that much. We only know these things are happening like in the big blow ups, or like when they break up, or it's been like 4 or 5 times quite similar. This one I thought was it, but apparently not. But yeah, in those times, like, she won't really talk about it. She won't reach out being like, I'm really struggling, or things like that. So it's quite hard when someone's not being a great friend and you know why, but they're not talking to you about why.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just, and the simplest way I can try to like articulate this is like, what's your relationship status? Like, where are you in other aspects of your life?
I'm married.
You're married. Okay. So like romantically, you're like settled and everything's like in order, and it feels, and you were mourning the loss of, or at least a change in this friendship, or like, but this is just kind of, yeah, I just don't know if there's much you can do other than like it's just, from my point of view, it is silly that you are letting this affect you emotionally.
It probably is.
Silly might be a strong word, because I'm not saying like you shouldn't care about like missing your friend or missing how it used to be with your friend and things like that. But like, again, all you can do is hold her accountable or let her be, so to speak. And holding her accountable is just more you communicating whatever frustrations you have, or distancing yourself a little bit, and just, you're doing the thing where it's like, you're trying to not change anything, right? You want to continue to have this relationship stay on whatever trajectory it was always on. And you just want to like have her get out of her head and continue things. And you're not being realistic about that, because you're settled, you're married, you have romantically what you want in your life right now, and that's not stressing you out. And I don't agree with maybe how you don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, how she is making her life harder than it needs to be by overstressing and like, just not accepting reality. But like, this is just how she's handling it. right? Again, you can just tell her, hey, I would just want to hear from you more. Or you could just like accept that that's where she's at and stop continuing to expect the same thing from her that you always expected from her. Because that's where that's the part that's affecting you. It's like you kind of stubbornly don't want to acknowledge that, fair or not, however she's handling it, my friend is very frustrated that she hasn't found her person despite many of her friends finding her person. She's at a particular age for women where they get very self-conscious about the fact that like they're single when the rest of their friends are not. She really likes this guy. She thought she was very close. It's all falling apart. It's blowing up in her face. And she's just having a hard time processing that. And she's probably definitely not doing it in the best possible way. But like in the middle of all that, you're kind of stubbornly thinking like, well, that shouldn't change our friendship at all.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But it's also like there are two parts to it. I think that's like the selfish part. But then there's the other part that's like, I love her, like she's
Yeah.
amazing. And I don't want her to be sad. And I want someone for her that makes her like so happy. I don't want her to be
but
ill. I
like
don't want
you
her to be
can't.
so
I just don't
anxious.
know. I don't know how that. I just don't know any friend who is like I don't know, like even like a twin sibling. I don't think has that type of influence or power when we're like love drunk and feeling very stubborn about our emotional relationships. That we let people like change our minds. You know, like sometimes we just have to have things blow up in our face and we have to hit rock bottom and we have to.
It just sucks.
I mean, you can keep telling, like, I mean, listen, by all means, like, this is your friend. Tell her exactly how you feel, but clearly, you know what I'm saying? You're having a hard time
Yeah.
doing that because she probably won't receive it, and it's a very like, it's a very fine line between saying like, I just think this isn't your guy. You should definitely break up, and you're wasting your time, and you guys are making each other miserable, and like that's and you need to stop, and you want to like grab her by the shoulders and kind of shake her and just tell her to like you deserve better and you can find better, but you know her, and you like as well as she's your best friend, you're very afraid to like communicate some of these things to her, which I totally get because like it's very hard to
Yeah.
get through to someone in these moments.
And that you don't want to push someone away as well when they probably need like more support, which is the other thing that I've been kind of being like trying to strike the balance between being honest in case there's things that she's just not seeing and
Ha-
being really
have
supportive so she feels
you
empowered.
have at any point in your life have you been her?
Not quite to that extent,
Okay.
but yeah, like a little bit, which I also thought is like maybe why I find it so triggering, to use a better word, where I'm like, I know that there's better out there now from having that like not so good, like pretty toxic,
Mhm.
arguing all the time relationship. And I just don't want that for her. So I think, yeah, and also if someone at the time had said something to me, I don't know, no one did. So I don't know how I would receive it,
Probably not
but I would
well. Yeah.
probably not well. I no, but like if all my friends and family were saying that, like, I like to think that I'd be like, I trust you guys, but maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I think usually we're not as open to. It's tricky when it comes to romantic love because so much about romantic love in our head is about like fighting for your love and fighting for your person. And like, and so anything or anyone, or even if it's a friend that is criticizing or attacking your relationship, you get just very defensive, right? And almost like in an honorable sort of way, like, don't talk about I can talk about my man. You can't talk about my man, like. I think it's just like you got to strike that balance between letting her do her thing and just saying, just speaking your piece, which is it breaks my heart to see this relationship consume so much of your emotional energy. And I've already communicated this to you, but obviously, like I get why. I in some ways I understand the reasons, but obviously it has created a distance between me and you and some of your other friends, and that just makes us sad. And it makes us sad because like we're really sorry to this, this isn't working out for you, but we also think you deserve better. Like we can see it from an outsider's point of view, and I know you can't see it, but like this is how we see it. And if she doesn't want to listen, you just have to say, I understand, but and we'll always be here for you, but you kind of have to, that's the part where you have to let go, where you can't move forward in your mind, kind of almost doing the same thing she's doing, which is like, be frustrated with the situation and ask yourself the why questions to answers you kind of already know. Like, why is she doing this? Why won't she just see it? Why can't she just like move on? And things like that. And then you ruminate in your head about the friendship, and then it just stresses you out because you're telling yourself, well, you're just like, I need to figure this out. I need to like how do I help my
Yeah.
friend? And you kind of just stay in that emotional state of mind. And that's the part where like, that's all you can do, is to say like, as much as this sucks, this isn't without precedent. This is a very common thing for people and friendships of all kinds to deal with these types of stuff. Romantic relationships often come in between friendships, especially temporarily. But you just have to be there for your friend if and when she does come around, and and if she ends up getting what she wants with this guy, and it just always kind of is a little volatile, you still like will be her friend. But you do have to accept that for the time being, this friendship is going to be a little bit different than it was. Because then otherwise like if you don't accept that, then that's when you become stressed and angry and feel helpless and anxious. And then when you are around your friend, whatever moments whatever moments she will find to be like emotional mature or just be present, you might ruin those moments in a sense, like because you're frustrated.
Yeah.
It's like maybe she's having a good day with her relationship and she's like ready to enjoy her friends, but you're like you have some built up resentment and frustration, and so you're a little edgy when you hang out with her. It's just like you can do that, but like that's the part where grace comes in, and just saying, I understand why I don't like the way she's handling it. I understand the position she's in. I wish she would listen to reason, but she's just not going to right now. So all I can do is just from time to time find my moments of holding her accountable by like just very gracefully just trying to push her in the direction I think is best for her. But if she doesn't want to listen, I just have to let her play things out. I can't fix her. You're not her parent, you're not a therapist. And that's the part where it's just like there's nothing really you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing I can say to you and say, all right, I know exactly what you need to do. And if you do this, I promise you, she's going to break up with her boy. There's just nothing that you and I can say to her to guarantee that she's going to listen to reason.
This is also probably why it's making me anxious, because there's nothing I can do. Like, I just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think, it's like the thing that stresses me out most which is probably more linked to our friendship, but like in my mind, this is what I keep going to. It's like, okay, if they end up together, like what does that mean for her, but also for our future? Like, I don't want to hang out with this guy now after everything he's sort of done. Like, and again, I don't think it's from a place of maliciousness, but it's also, I hate the way he's treated her.
I mean, again, I know nothing about this relationship, but my guess is you're only hearing one version, and he has his version with his friends, and there's a good chance
but I
all of
don't
his
want to hear
friends
his
hate her.
version. Maybe.
Probably, this is her life, and you have to let her live it. And roll your eyes at me. I don't
sorry.
know. Like, it's her life, you just.
I know.
You guys, I know life's short, but it's not that short, and things come around. I have a friend after that. So in my early 30s, fast forward a couple years, got into another relationship. I left that relationship, and I was kind of for the first time in my life comfortably single. I was like, I was just in my 20s. I felt like I needed to have a girlfriend. I felt very incomplete without a partner. But in my early 30s, I decided to leave what I thought was ultimately a really great person and a good relationship, but just it had its We had our fights, and I wanted to leave the relationship. And then my buddy had been notoriously single, and but he was just like, when I got single, I felt some jealousy from him, like from a competition standpoint, where all of a sudden, like, we were both single, and when he was like the friend who we'd go to the bars, and he was only looking for girls. Like, he was never just like having fun. It's like you show up, it's like, oh, there's no one here. Let's go to another bar. I'm like, we just got here. Maybe someone will show up, but like, we're not hunting for girls all night. Well, things just got real contentious between us, and we kind of just stopped talking. I just was like sick of his shit, and probably he was sick of mine. I don't know. But like, for a year and a half, like, there was one, and then I moved to Chicago, and it got so contentious that, like, this was a good friend of mine that, like, we ran into each other at a bar or a club in Chicago. And it was like one of those, like, running into someone in high school you didn't talk to anymore. And it was like really awkward. And then, like, I don't know, some more time went around, and we reconnected, and he kind of like got out of his head and stopped being, the person he was acting. And we got back to where we were, and, friends. And that took like that took a couple years. And that was 10 years ago. That shit happens sometimes with friendships. Like, when we're younger and we have these friends, especially before we meet our person, our friends, especially in early adulthood, are our kind of romantic partners. They're the people we go to dinners with and movies with, and we talk about our feelings with, and we're vulnerable with, even men too, right? And then when one of those people finds a romantic partner, it almost feels like we lost that connection. And so things can get kind of messy in those years, because there's a lot of feelings of like, I'm sure she's very happy for you, but also very envious of you. And just probably in some ways doesn't feel like it's not fair for you to criticize her or have notes, because you have what you want and she's just trying to get what you want. And and things like that. But like, sometimes you just have to let things play out, and you're just going to have to be okay with a little bit of change in this relationship and disconnect, in the hopes that, like, it'll work itself out, it'll come around. But you kind of stubbornly not allowing this friendship to evolve and accept that it's going through a little bit of turmoil doesn't make it better, and it doesn't help you out. Because part of me is like, to that end, that friendship I described, I was sick of his shit. I didn't want to offer him grace. I was like, fuck this, whatever. And I was part of the reason why we lost complete touch for that period of time, because I didn't want to offer him any grace, or I was done offering him grace. And so I played a role in that distance. And maybe it's what it needed. I don't know. But you're part of this friendship too. And yeah, she is starting it and she is handling it, but like, you can choose how you handle it too. And your lack of just accepting that there's nothing you can do, and you might have to let things play out, and you might have to reposition your friendship to being like, I'm just going to be the best friend that I can be to her, given as much as she lets me, and then go from there. But demanding that she, like, I know you're not, but like, the part of you inside is like, you're like, this is bullshit, and like, stop ruining our friendship over this stupid fucking guy in this relationship, and that's how you're thinking about it. And I totally get it, but like, I just don't think you're putting yourself in her shoes.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And I don't want the relationship to change. Like, she's a super close friend.
Yeah.
She was one of my bridesmaids, like, all of that. And we lived together. We were like at uni together. There's been like a long history. And I think also because, like, my other friends have got like in relationships, and things haven't had to change because like their partners are awesome and I really like them. And it's like, we're all like in this new phase together. And maybe I do.
Trust me, she feels that,
accept.
and that,
yeah,
she feels that.
Which must feel quite rubbish.
Yeah. And her position, she's lacking. You have to give her confidence as much as you can, and that's, if nothing else, despite your frustrations, it may fall on deaf ears, but you have to keep reminding her that she deserves to be happy, and she deserves not to feel anxious about these things. And it's definitely not fair, but there's a lot of great things available to her, because she just, right now, she is acting as if she's either going to make it work with this guy or she is going to be alone forever. That's how she's operating.
Well, this is what I've said to her, but then she's like, no, I know I would feel fine if like we did break up. It's just I want it with him. I think, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we are very good at lying to ourselves and convincing ourselves of things. And those, I think there's a part of her that rationally knows that she will be fine. She doesn't want to be fine without him, you know. So I think that's true. She wants him. Doesn't mean it's the best choice. She just in that, you know, she just wants to do it. You know, like we've all wanted to do things, and then we look back, be like, why did I want to do that so bad? I don't know. It's like you just decide that's what you want. But like, yeah, like this is very much you have to play the long game. Nothing you're going to say is going to have some more like eye-opening moment for her. It's like chopping wood, shavings make a pile. Like you're not saying anything to her because it's going to immediately change her mind. You're planting seeds, you know, you're just reminding her of her worth. You're checking in with her because in case she needs to hear it today, you're going to hopefully give her a pick me up. You know, you're not saying it to her because she doesn't know or no one's ever told her that she's valuable or that she can do better. It's just that reminder, you know, because right now her internal like clock or whatever or voice is kind of is telling her her fears are making her think she will be alone. And her rational brain doesn't pop up in her head very often these days. And you can be that reminder. But like, again, you have to be willing to be that reminder without getting anything immediate in return. And it may feel like you're wasting your breath. And it may feel like it's just more of the same that you're doing and not getting anything in return. You know, this is a moment in your friendship where it's not going to feel reciprocal, you know, where most of your friendship, like on any given day, you were always there for each other. This is that moment in the friendship where for a period of time, she is being a little selfish and self-centered. And you have to decide, am I going to look at our friendship as a whole and just assume and expect that this is a friendship that I'm going to have for much of my life and we'll get through it someday, somehow, I don't know when. And maybe someday I will be the selfish one and I'm gonna call on her to like just deal with my bullshit and hope that she does, you know, and you just have to decide whether you're willing to do that.
Yeah, and I am.
Yeah.
Like she's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I need to probably just stop being from myself, like from what I say.
Yeah.
And I need to just keep reminding myself that, yeah, I think I get frustrated because I still have expectations and maybe like lowering those expectations temporarily is going to make me happier in the friendship, make me be a better friend, like hopefully ultimately help her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. I think for the immediate future, it's going to feel very one-sided where it's going to feel like you're always thinking about what you can do for her. And you're going to be doing more outreach. You're going to be doing more than she's going to be doing for you. Because there's a part of her that's like, oh, well, she's good. She's got someone to do that for her, you know?
I think, yeah, which makes sense. I have just like one final question.
Shoot.
This has been like so helpful, but if they do get engaged, what do I say?
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
But just leave it at that.
I mean, if she's not asking for your opinion, I don't think you give it, so to speak.
Yeah. But I also don't want to be like, wow, amazing news.
She's not a 16-year-old anymore. She's an adult woman.
Yeah.
And everyone learns different. You can't live her life for her and you're not her parent and you can't tell her what to do.
No, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
But maybe I do want to. No.
Listen, I am someone
I just don't want her to be unhappy.
I agree with you. And listen, I am someone who I'm like, I've always been like, I have 10 siblings, right? And when it comes to like, I'm the second oldest, I'm the oldest boy. Overall, we have a very lucky, blessed family with, my parents did a great job raising us all. But, some of my siblings are, make better decisions than others. And I've always prided myself over, generally, for the most part, making good decisions for myself. And my parents have always been like, yeah, we don't worry about you because like we worry about more other people. And you're maybe one of those people who's like, it's better at making decisions for yourself, and you feel that maybe. And so as friends, you want to sometimes share that, wisdom, but you can't. And I've learned that, right? Like,
Yeah.
people call in, and like, I've always been the guy who's been good at giving advice, and even to my friends. But like, if people don't want your advice, you're wasting your breath. And I've had to learn that, right? And you just sometimes have to bite your tongue, and it's not your life. Whatever she decides, whether she wants to get engaged to this guy, maybe she goes all the way to have kids with this guy or get married to this guy, and then eventually 5 years from now blows in your face, then you will have to deal with. She will survive that, and can still be friends, and you're not going to be like, I told you so. But like, this is her life, and you have to decide whether you want to be friends with whoever you want to be friends with, which includes the choices they are going to make for themselves in their life. And there's not much we can do about it, But yeah, like
Yeah, and it's arrogant to assume that my thinking, even though I think a lot of people are in agreement, is the right answer. Like, and that she wants to hear it. So
Are they like doing couples therapy or anything like that?
no, he doesn't want to go.
Well, so when it comes to stuff like that, you could just say, like, I'm sure you've listened to me on these shows where it's just like, sometimes asking questions gets through to people better than advice, Well,
Yeah.
so like the question is like, when if you have a moment to talk to her about this relationship and she's saying, well, I've asked him to go to therapy, he doesn't want to. It's just like, well, then how are things going to change? Because, if he doesn't want to get help, and, like, what's going to change? Make her question that, asking questions to get her to answer her own questions sometimes helps people see what you see. It's like when people call in and listen, and then we talk, right? And then a couple weeks later, the episodes will come out. Oftentimes people will like listen to themselves, hear their story, and then hear my advice, and they hear it very differently than they heard it when we were, or they just kind of see how they sounded, or things like that. But like, you kind of have to get her out of that. Like, now you're just telling her what to do, right? Like, it's like the parent-child relationship. I'm disappointed, do this. But like, ask her questions, get her to think about her thought process. If he's unwilling to like go to couples therapy, what is he willing to do to make this right? Like, how are you guys going to work through things as things get more difficult? But I do think asking questions rather than like offering unsolicited advice goes a long way.
Yeah. I'll definitely bear that in mind.
Okay.
But I think this has been like so helpful for, I think I didn't like notice that in myself, that I've been trying to keep the friendship exactly as it was, and then being disappointed and nervous when I see it like not going that way. And that is on me, like that's within my realm of control. So gonna work on that bit.
All right. Well, just sometimes it's good to just knowing that will go a long way.
Yeah.
Because like, that's the part that's causing you the anxiety. She'll, no matter what, you can be sad for her, but like, she is an adult. If she doesn't want to learn by listening to her friends, which most people don't, she's just going to have to learn some way,
Yeah. I just hope it doesn't like cause her too much pain in the learning.
Yeah. Has she had boyfriends before?
Yeah.
What's different about this one?
I don't know. Like, I don't know whether it is the timing or the fact that he's like non-committal, which sort of makes her like more nervous and makes her want to.
Have they ever been like boyfriend and girlfriend, or is this like a long situationship?
No, they've been together the whole time.
Okay.
But over the last 2 years, it's like every few months, another kind of like semi breakup, or him like threatening to break up with her. And I think that also, it's like her always feeling like she has to prove herself is like one of the reasons that I think she's finding it really hard to let go.
Well, maybe she needs to let go. I mean, he's sounding like a guy who maybe blossomed late, got his first girlfriend, or maybe he was just a fuckboy in his early 20s, but like, at the end of the day, doesn't want to settle down right now. Just like, isn't sure if he wants this to be it. I mean, that's what it sounds like. And if that's the case, then she needs to let him go and see if he regrets it. Hanging around and trying to convince him to like is not the way,
No, and I think that's why it's like so hard because I think it's confidence crushing, always having to persuade someone to like be in love with you, which is what's so difficult to watch. But again, like
It is, but that's not the way to
yeah,
do
I've
it.
got to.
The way to do it is to show them that there's a line out the door of people waiting to fall in love with her. And the moment
Oh,
he
so you think I should find her some
well, she has to be
eligible
willing, but
guys?
she has to get sick of him treating her like an option, and she
Yeah.
has to face the hard truth that like it has nothing really to do with like her per se, but yeah, that at the end of the day, I'm sure he's trying to say it in a million different ways. It doesn't sound like the truth, which is like, I'm just not sure if you're the person I want to only fuck for the rest of my life. And I'm just not sure if I'm ready to like just, like, just be it. And I just like, I don't know what else is out there. And like, I'm on Instagram and I'm on all the apps, and he just sees a bunch of potential options and just honestly wonders if he could do better. And she needs to see that as a reality, not because, and not so that it bruises her ego to the point where she's like, oh, I'm worthless, but this like, fuck this guy. Like I know I'm a catch, and I know that like,
And she is.
yeah. And I know that like, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to like be my best self. I'm going to stop wasting all this energy on this guy and whatever, whether it's like hitting the gym or like just crushing life at work or just being a hot commodity where like you just, you focus on yourself and you focus on like just whatever it is you do. And then people, you get out there, you start dating and you stop that will change his mind. If there was going to reason to get this guy to whip him into shape, it would be like the fear of losing her. He's not afraid of losing her.
Yeah, I think he's not. But then I can't think like this. I need to just think like, leave them to it.
Yeah, unless she asks. If she asks, then you can tell her.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep being super supportive, low expectations in the other direction,
I mean,
ask questions.
in the interim, like if because they are broken up, you can say to her, it's like if you have a window, if she gives you any kind of window, just be like, you are on, she knows that you follow her, and maybe you can be a little nosy. It's like you guys, girlfriends, follow each other, and you can be. It's like
I haven't said yet. I haven't been like, hey, I see you're there like 2 nights or 3 nights a week still. Like,
yeah, I would, maybe make a joke being like, you would get him to realize his foolishness by spending the night at some other guy's place. I mean, it's like I do find it amazing. Like it's like I think I'll never forget my very first relationship. It was one of our many breakups, and I was heartbroken. And I was just like, yeah, I was like your friend, where it was just like I had to do all these things to win her back. And this woman I worked with, I don't know, she was probably like 5 or 6 years older than me. She was like in her probably late. I was in my early 20s. She was like in her late 20s, early 30s, and she was like, go date other women, go fuck other girls. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, how is that gonna like, I was so afraid to do that, but she was so right, like, and especially men, like men are so afraid of you, like you finding someone better than them. But when they feel like they have all the control or power, and then even with my first girlfriend, I was always like such a like a worthless sack of shit. And anytime I finally had the guts to put my foot down, she would flip a switch and come running back. She just has to find that strength.
no, but I also don't want I don't want him to realize. Like, I just want them to break up.
Well,
But I will. If she asks for that advice, I can now give it.
yeah, you're gonna have to just let her play it out.
Yeah. No, I know.
You just got to keep all your job is just to try to make her feel as confident as possible.
And I think I can do that. I think what I've struggled with is like my own expectations on the friendship. And yeah, it also does like really suck to see her sad, but I've got to just come to the realization that like maybe that's the only way. Like I can't protect her.
Yeah, you definitely can't.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I wish there was like some amazing thing I could do just to fix this all, but I think I kind of knew that was the answer all along.
All right. Well, hopefully it was helpful.
No, it was really helpful. Really helpful. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, take care. I appreciate the call.
Thanks.
And please keep us updated in what happens, in the future.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Well, we've talked about benefits of BetterHelp for some time now. We've also talked about the benefits of therapy, and we also know that it can be intimidating, costly, and inconvenient to get into therapy. And BetterHelp is number one in reducing those barriers. It's incredibly convenient. All you need is a device of some kind, a tablet, a phone, a computer. They are working with your comfort level. With over 30,000 therapists that they're working with every day, they also make it easy to connect with a therapist that is right for you, that you feel comfortable sharing and opening up to, because that's honestly a big part of therapy. And if you're not comfortable with the first therapist they match you with, no problem. You can switch a therapist every time for free until you find someone that you connect with. It works. Well, they have an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 with over 1.7 million customer reviews. So if you have ever considered therapy, if you're just stressed about work, your relationships, life in general, maybe work's getting you down, let BetterHelp get that stress off your chest today. It's really simple. You could be talking to a mental health professional momentarily. All you have to do is go to BetterHelp.com, answer a few questions about the type of conversations or things that are bothering you or what you want to work on, and they will pair you with one of their 30,000 therapists that they're working with. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/VIALL. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL. Caraway. Well, if you are cooking in the kitchen, you have to check out Caraway if you haven't already. First and foremost, they're great to cook on. I've been cooking on Caraway pots and pans for the past 5 years now. If you are a whiz in the kitchen, you're going to absolutely love cooking on Caraway. You can cook anything. It's easy to cook on, easy to clean on, and it's peace of mind for you and your family. It is crazy how many pots and pans out there are not safe, are not chemical free, but not Caraway. Caraway is non-toxic cookware made modern. Over 70% of cooking and baking pans sold in America are coated with PTFEs and other hard to pronounce harmful chemicals that are not safe for you and your family. So if you haven't already, make the switch to Caraway. They have a great assortment of bakeware and cookware. It also looks great. They come in a bunch of different colors. It makes a great gift as well. I gift Caraway pots and pans to all of my loved ones, and they are so appreciative and thankful for it. They also have glass airtight storage containers to avoid those harmful plastics people are now consuming in their body. Their average adult unknowingly consumes over 150,000 plastic particles every year. So let's reduce that by making the switch to Caraway. If you have been eyeing their internet famous 12-piece cookware set, now is the time to buy. You can shop Caraway risk-free, enjoy fast, free shipping, enjoy easy returns, and a 30-day trial. Plus, if you visit carawayhome.com/viallfiles, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners. So visit carawayhome.com/viallfiles to use code viallfiles at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm 36, and I regret moving for love.
Okay. Tell me why you moved and who'd you move for?
I moved for my husband.
Okay.
We met online. Somehow the algorithm matched us. We don't know how, but I lived halfway across the country from him. I'm from the Midwest, and he lives in the Northeast. I moved in order to be with him, and I don't regret being with him because he's amazing, but the move I'm really struggling with, and I don't quite know how to talk to him about it.
Did you move prior to you getting married, or like how long ago did you move? So you met, obviously, Natalie and I, for example, we met online, so to speak. She lived in Savannah. And then when we actually started dating, I shipped her over to LA. What did it look like for you?
So we met we matched online in August or May of 2023. We met in August. We got engaged in July of 2024. I moved August of 2024, and we got married in September of 2024. So It was kind of quick.
Okay. How long have you lived where you live now?
Almost a year. It'll be a year later this month.
Okay. Well, listen, this guy is your husband, right? So, I would approach this, just if I were in your shoes, differently than say if this was a boyfriend that you moved for.
Right.
Who does what for a living, practically speaking, why, other than preferences, why objectively do you guys live there? And what would have to change?
I never wanted to move.
What's that?
I never wanted to move.
No, I
ever.
get that. Yeah.
I moved because he and I both work in the same field. We work in the arts, and there's a lot more opportunity for us to do our job where he lives versus where I lived.
Okay.
And so I've gotten a lot more job opportunities here, which is great. And the other problem is that I have a much wider range of experience, so I can always go get an office job or something, but he's only ever done what we do for a living. And so me moving here, I found more opportunities and he has a great job. We move back to where I live, he probably would not be able to do his job, and I don't really know what we would do for him for work.
Okay. Well, that makes it more difficult. I would say, just in general, it takes much longer than a year to really to really give any new place a chance. I'm not saying you're ever going to like it any more than you do today. I can't guarantee you that. But I do know that it takes longer than a year for a place to start feeling like home, so to speak. Right now, it's been less than a year, and all you can tell yourself is, I didn't want to do this in the first place. I still don't want to do it now. And as I expected, this place is not home. Yeah. So there is that. Now, you mentioned like you're having a hard time bringing it up to him. One, he's your husband. So you guys should be able to talk about these things, right? If nothing else, you should feel like if, you guys are always talking through things. Talking through it might not change anything, but at least, I mean, I guess let me ask you this. Wouldn't it feel better if you were able to find the words to communicate this with him? Hopefully not like in a harsh words. Like I doubt, you probably don't want to say like, I love you, but I hate my life here. Like there's that might come across a bit strong to him and make him feel like he doesn't know what to do. It's like, well, I want to make my wife happy, but like, but maybe you communicate it. It's just like, listen, I've been struggling with the move. It's like, it still doesn't feel like home. And I guess I don't know what to do, but I just wanted to talk with you about it. And then he was like, all right, well, let's talk about it. But even if you guys sat down and talked and realized that like, just based off of everything in our lives, as much as I may hate to admit it, I guess it just makes the most sense for us to stay here for a period of time. Would that be better, even if nothing changed, knowing that you could talk to your husband about this stuff?
We have talked about it,
Okay.
and this is kind of why I'm struggling with how to talk to him about it, because every time I bring it up, like, we both would do anything for the other person.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about it and he says, "Well, we always knew that moving back to your hometown was an option," but I don't want him to feel the way I feel, especially because I don't know what his work situation would look like if we moved, and I don't know, I just don't wanna make him feel the way I feel now.
What does a life with each other look like? What have, family planning, or like, what do you guys want as a married couple for yourselves?
We're not having kids, so it's just us. But part of the issue, like, I am really, really involved with my nephews. They live in my hometown as well, and I helped raise them for like 10 years. And so leaving them also was really hard. So while they're not my kids, they are also a big part of consideration of how I live my
Mhm.
life.
Okay. That's definitely a challenge. And like career wise, how much does your career and his career give him a sense of purpose?
More so for him than me. I always, when I was by myself in my hometown, I always did it as kind of a side gig thing. I always had a corporate job for insurance and to pay the bills, and then I would do this for fun on the side, but this has always been his full-time gig. And then when I moved out here, we agreed that I would be able to try and do this full time, and I am, and that part is great. But I'm also not making as much as I made in the corporate world, so it's kind of canceling each other out. Like I'm happier with my work, but I'm also not making as much.
Gotcha. But also, you could get into the corporate world where you live now and probably make more money if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that experience, so that's also what makes it hard because I don't wanna uproot him and give him no options where
Yeah.
I live.
Well, I mean, I think we all need a sense of purpose, right, in life. That's just like and I think men in general, not always, but men typically will find at least some of that purpose through like their career, or they're feeling like a sense to provide for themselves and their family. And they want to feel like they can accomplish things they care about. And I think, just as a guy, I know that like often that affects men, and I think women too. And so, yeah, that's just something that you think you need to consider, because, yeah, it's like you just hate right now where you live. It's not home. Your nephews aren't there. It's not home. If you move to the Midwest, he might feel the same way, plus feel like he hates his job. He hates what he's doing. He gets no purpose out of it. And then his only purpose, and not that you're not enough, but like, is his wife.
Can't
And
be
it's just like,
everything.
You don't want him to hate every aspect of his life but you. And now you're kind of similar in the same, but like you're just gonna have to find some balance. I just go back to maybe you might need to give this place a little bit more of a chance than you have. And I'm not saying you should, but I do know that it takes more than a year to make a new place work for you. And knowing that you came into this new place with your guard up, so to speak, already with a little bit of like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, doesn't help the situation, right? And it may never feel like home or the Midwest, but it probably could feel better than it feels now. Because I'm getting the sense from you that like your current job, while it's cool, you've really downplayed. It's like it's fine. Like I like it. Yeah, it's the career. It's the field. I'm working in the field I went to school for. But I don't know. It's like it's more like a hobby. And honestly, I liked making more money before. And maybe you enjoyed the social aspect of it. I don't know. Maybe you made friends at work and stuff like that. Where I don't know. Maybe this job now doesn't allow for as much socialization. I don't know. Maybe since like I'm getting from you that like you don't really care about your current job all that much one way or the other, and that there's pros and cons to staying in this field, and there's pros and cons to like getting back to what you call like a corporate job. Maybe that's something you consider, because then maybe you make some friends, and like you have to figure out a way to make this new place feel like home, and that includes more than just like living with your husband in his city. You have to try to make it your city, and you have to make friends, and you have to connect with the community for it to feel like home. Because otherwise, you're just always going to feel like you're living in a city that's not your home.
Yeah. And that's what's hard. The field that I'm in, it's a contract type of situation. So I'll do a contract for a few weeks and then it's up and I go somewhere else. So it does make it harder to make friends. Whereas where he is, he's just steady and consistent and always there. So that does make sense.
Yeah, because right now all you're doing. You've very much moved for your husband, for love. Like I said before, you moved not being excited about. It was just for love. So you weren't, and then you've done really nothing, other than like moving for your husband. Your mindset has always been just proving to yourself why you knew you wouldn't like it.
I know. I think it's like change is just, it's so hard for me that it's almost debilitating. And so I feel like I've kind of spent my first few months here just in like fight or flight mode and just trying to get through it without panicking or melting down. And so now that I feel more comfy, I think that's why my brain is finally starting to be like, maybe we don't like it here.
Well, maybe, but like I guess what I'm saying, it's like there's a bit of a mindset there. Anxiousness or anxiety comes from worrying. I mean, again, I'm not a psychologist, so like don't quote me on this stuff, but like it's just you're worrying about the future, the unknown, and with some preconceived notions of how you think or how you tell yourself how things are going to play out. And then you're worrying about those things manifesting itself. Like you went into this move with a bit of a like this is going to suck mentality. Like you martyred yourself for love. Or it's just like, well, I'll do it for him because I love him, but like I wonder if just like changing your perspective of just like, you know what, like I don't know, like start pointing out things about to yourself, or it's just like, what do I like about this place? Because right now I'm guessing overall it's just been like you just tell yourself you don't like there's nothing you like about your mindset is just to remind yourself what this place doesn't offer you. It doesn't offer my nephews, doesn't have my family, my favorite restaurants, my comforts. Like I'm always away from them. And you haven't tried to find those, you haven't tried to replace those. I mean, you'll never replace your nephews, but like you haven't tried to replace what you loved about the old place you lived in with new little things of like your favorite spots and and then making friends. Like if you haven't made friends yet, like I can understand why this place doesn't feel like home. Because if your husband has his life outside of you, and when he's at work and if he's with his friends, how do you feel connected to this place? You don't right now. So then you spend all that time missing the old place. I think you could probably give this place more of a shot than you have. You may still end up hating it. I don't know, but I'm getting from you that like and like, listen, it's 2025. It's a pretty quick flight from the Midwest to the East Coast. And maybe the money you make switching careers into a corporate job, if nothing else, pays for flights back and forth to spend more time with your nephews, to get home more often, and maybe you're spending $300 a month to fly back home for a long weekend every month. You know, it's like a 2-hour flight from the East Coast to the Midwest, anywhere in the Midwest. You know, there are other ways to try to have your cake and eat it too. But he is your husband, and you know these are the difficult choices that, like, you know, life will bring you when it comes to like making a life work with someone else. And relationships are about compromise. You do need to feel like you're making a big compromise for him and for the relationship. It's not a tit for tat situation, but you need to feel like he does recognize that and appreciates that and wants to, whatever he can do to help you with that struggle, or, you know, so it's definitely a balance, and just continue to talk about that, you know, if that makes sense. It's just, yeah, because
No,
the,
it
you
does.
know,
And he's so supportive, but that's kind of why I wanted to talk to like an outside party, because every time I talk to him, he's so supportive. And I don't want to, like I said, make him feel the way I'm feeling or put him in the position I'm in. And I really just wanted someone kind of outside of the situation to take a look at it and give me advice, because he's so supportive. He's so wonderful.
that's awesome. And like, that's a great that you guys have that. I just, you know, just hearing you talk, it sounds like deep down, you know, or worry that if you guys were to move to the Midwest and you feel like you ultimately, it sounds like, you know, that if you really needed him to do that, he would probably do that. But if he did that, he might really struggle with finding purpose outside of the relationship with his career. And he might really hate any other type of job, and like leaving what, you know, in some ways feels like maybe a dream job for him would be very difficult for him. And yeah, that is the challenge, because you guys are a team. You're married, you know, and you guys have to make decisions what's best for the team. And that sometimes includes moving, but it's tough. I think in the short term, if you're not going to play that card and get him to move, I think you could do yourself a favor to try to stop telling yourself and pointing out all the things in your head, the things you don't like, you know, because when we go down those rabbit holes of like being negative about something, we're always just looking for ways to confirm that point of view. Challenge yourself to stop confirming what you already know, which is like, if you had it your way, if you could only change one thing and not change anything else, you would just relocate you two to the Midwest, and by some miracle he could keep his job and his friends, but you could be home. But that's not possible. So in the meantime, find your moments, figure out whether this is the job you really want, you know, maybe more money and more friends. And then maybe you can still do this field on the side as a hobby, or do it like support your husband. And maybe you can scratch that itch by like just, you know, supporting him in his field, or being the person he always goes to for advice or like counsel, because you do have experience in the shared field, and you can scratch that itch that way. But in the meantime, you're working a job that you enjoy just as much, but you make more money, and there's a little bit more a social element to it, where you slowly start making friends, and then you start making this place home. You gotta plant some roots here. You know, if you want a metaphor, it's just like you have like this flower bed that you haven't really planted in the ground. It's just like it's in a pot, right? So like you brought a flower. When you moved, you brought a bunch of flowers in pots, and you haven't replanted them into the soil where they're still in pots. So like that's where you are mentally. Like you're still like, I don't know, I'm not ready to like plant my roots in here. I'm going to stay in the pot. And you're like, well, you know, there's not enough dirt. I'm not getting all the nutrients I could if I was, but like this sucks. And I think you have to get in there, plant your feet, you know, so to speak, and really give it a shot, because you're still in the pot.
No, I think you're really right. And this is what I wanted to hear before I pulled the "we need to move" card, because I want to work on myself first. So I appreciate you saying that.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it's less working on yourself. It's just your perspective about this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely takes more than a year. Yeah. I remember when I first moved to LA, and I was like, I don't know, like it's a nice weather, but like, I don't know, like this place is weird. And, you know, it's just, home is home, you know, it's tough to change those things. So yeah, give it a shot. What are some extracurricular activities you and your husband can do together that are outside of you guys working and sitting at home?
Yeah, we do try and do a lot of stuff. We'll go to like farmers markets on the weekend, or we'll take little day trips into the nearby city. So when we're together, it is great. But I think you're right that
I
when
mean,
he's busy, I
you
need to
guys need
make
to
more of an
figure
effort.
out how to do things that are with other people. Because
Yeah.
you guys going to a farmer market as a
I
couple, and Natalie and I do that all the time. It's
Mhm.
still, I bet farmer markets in the East Coast feel a lot like farmer markets in the Midwest. But you're still like holding hands and picking out flowers and oranges, and then you go home, and it's like you're not. It doesn't make that place unique. You need to connect with this new place somehow that is unique to that place.
Yeah, we've done some exploring, but I think I need to kind of do more of it on my own, so I make my own connection instead of just with him or through
Yeah.
him.
Even favorite coffee shop, like places to go, just like little things that you like about this place, so that when you go home and visit home, you can't wait to come back to like get that coffee that home doesn't have, or that favorite meal at a restaurant that like it's just no place in the Midwest makes it the same way, or this spot at the park that you really enjoy just going to, or whatever where you live now, that just they don't have. It's like you got to find those little things, or the friend that you really connect with that feels like, oh, I'm really glad I found you, and you live here and not there, and whatever it is.
No, that makes sense.
Cool. All right. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully this was helpful.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, would love an update as whatever you decide to do in the future, if this was helpful, or if you're able to change your perspective, we'd love an update.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna work on it. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Well, we've talked about Skims. A little TMI. I'm wearing their underwear in this moment. Tell you what, it starts with your underwear. It's the first thing you put on your body, and it feels good. That's just me, but we all know that Skims really is made for the ladies. Men benefit from it too, but Natalie is obsessed with Skims. I think she has everything from Skims. I mean, we have an entire closet full of Skims products because she's obsessed with it. She raves about it. All I know is my wife loves it, and she's a particular person with great taste. Natalie always tells me how the fabric is insanely stretchy, soft, and supportive. It hugs in all the right places without digging in. It's become a staple in her top drawer because it feels like she is wearing nothing. Makes her feel confident and put together. Their t-shirts, underwear, everything they have. Check out their lineup today. Shop Natalie's favorite bras and underwear at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey, and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. How's it going?
So I've been wondering if the guy that I've been texting just doesn't like texting or just doesn't like me.
Okay. Tell me about this communication and this guy.
So basically, we met on Hinge last summer, went on a couple dates.
Okay.
We were both very busy, and I wouldn't say I'm the best texter, like I don't prioritize that like hourly, it's like something that is not really on the back of my mind like too much. So we didn't really talk a whole lot either. But we did see each other. We had 3 good dates. Ultimately, I think like just with being busy on both ends, he had grad school, I had, work. And honestly, I really wasn't sure about the connection. So I kind of just prioritized more hanging out with my friends. We ultimately ended things last summer just because, communication, we both kind of weren't really even speaking to each other. And
so
not
that just
making
kind of
the
like
effort.
fade away? Or did like one person say, hey, I'm just not sure if this is working, and the other person was like, cool?
I said, hey, I don't think, because he reached out after, because I don't think we had spoken at that point for like 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, are we still talking?
Gotcha. And then
And
he
so
reached out and he's like, hey, so like, what's going on? And you were just like, honestly, life's busy. You're cool. But like, I don't know if there's a there.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly that. And selfishly, I will say, like, I don't know how I was feeling about things, but it was kind of like a way out, I guess, because he was cool and I was open to getting to know him, but I just wasn't sure if I was ready to like be more exclusive. Anyways, so we ended. And then in June, he reached out to me again, and we had not spoken all year. I'm very much someone that like when I end things with someone, I just, there's no back and forth after that. Anyways, in June, he reached out to me and he said that he finished grad school and he was open to going on more dates if I was. He offered dinner and mentioned, oh, like you're someone I really got along with and saw myself, potentially growing into more of something with. So I honestly didn't know how to take it. I did enjoy hanging out with him. Like dating is a little tough sometimes. And he was someone that I think I got on with and had a lot in common with. But ultimately, I did decide to give him another chance. Again, we went on like 3 dates. They all went super well.
But he's the one who like reconnected with you?
He's the one that reached out. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. he reached out, and then the dates went super well. It kind of felt like we kind of picked up where we left off.
At this point, have you guys hooked up yet?
No, but that is interesting you say that. The third date, kind of there was chance for it, but I didn't allow it.
Okay.
I just wasn't, I don't do that when I'm actually like interested in someone.
Sure.
So yeah, we went on vacation for 4th of July. Both went on. This is when I actually reached out to you guys. We both went out of town.
Separately. You guys both did your own thing.
Separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, separately. Okay. And then I didn't hear from him, which I didn't think was super uncommon because, you know, he's with his family, probably is not worried about texting someone. I thought the same. Like, I think we could just do our own thing, but just reconnect when we get back. And then once we got back, he did reach out again. But I had like, he didn't talk to me at all. Like we didn't get to that point of like letting him know that I was going to be busy for the next like 3 weekends in July. So we just ended up not seeing each other, but the communication just got super choppy after that. Honestly, after the third date, I didn't notice a little bit of a switch in energy, but I didn't want to think too much of it. You know, it was a third date, so I didn't want to read too much into anything.
Have you guys kissed? Have you done anything?
Yeah, we kissed. That was it. Just kissing. No other physical intimacy.
Okay. And then you felt like a switch up, but like he reached out after your guys' trip, and then like where are things now?
Where things are now. So he reached out for the trip, but then, you know, I let him know. He asked if I wanted to like do something. I said, you know, I'm busy the next 2 weekends. When I get back, I even offered like maybe sometime during the week if I have time, because I commute for work. So my weeks are pretty busy, like my weekdays. So weekends are more so the time I use to hang out with friends or a date or something. So once he found out I was busy, I don't know if that switched something for him, because the energy like completely shifted. Like his texting got a lot less. You know, he just wouldn't respond to me, honestly. If sorry to repeat myself, but yeah. And then we didn't really speak much over the next like 3 weeks, like here and there a little bit. And then when I was my last like vacation, like I think like a week and a half ago, he like set up on my Instagram story and was like, "Oh, like I like your dress," or something dumb.
Okay.
And I obviously was like, "Oh, thank you." And he said like, "When are you back?" I told him I'm back now. Super tired, whatever. I was just making conversation at that point. And this was on Instagram, by the way, not even texting. Okay. And then he was like, "Well, let me know when you're back." And I'm like, I'm not one to chase a guy. Like I really am not, especially this early on. Like I feel like,
well, yeah, but what I'm not really hearing from you, and when I'm listening to your story, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes a little bit. Like, how would I perceive your communication? First of all, you kind of already rejected him way back.
Right.
And then it was him who reached out to you. Right. And it sounds like what you're saying is like you guys had some nice time together, but like you've kind of kept it casual, and he's kind of kept it casual too. What I'm hearing, like, I'm not even sure how you feel about this guy, but all I know is that like regardless of how you feel about him, taking everything into account from the time in which you first started hanging out with this guy, he has gotten into your head a little bit just because he hasn't been as predictable as you would hope. And I'm not even sure if he would text you in a way that you would want, or if he communicated to you in a way that met your expectations. I don't know how you would feel about him. I don't know if you know how you would feel about him, but he lacks the consistent communication enough to at least make you go, well, what, does he like me?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, I will say, like, when after the first like couple dates, like this is not necessary for me. I don't think like when texting you have to like, he would text me and be like, "Oh, hope your week's going well. Like, can't wait to see you Friday." Like when we had like plans.
Yeah.
And like obviously, like I don't need him to do that every week. Like that's just obvious. It was nice of him to do that.
What did you say in
beginning.
response to those messages?
I reciprocated. I really was enjoying getting to know him. I felt like, I mean, I didn't want to get too much into the weeds, but after we ended, like I sometimes thought about him and wondered, like, I don't know if like that was just a me thing, being kind of like avoidant in the terms of like, oh, like, I don't know if I'm ready to like for the commitment, or, you know. So sometimes I did think about him.
Yeah.
when we were away. And so I did reciprocate when he was texting like that. And then, you know, we just kind of started getting busy. And that's when I noticed the communication started getting more inconsistent, especially after a third date. Like I said, like there was a chance for intimacy and I like stopped it, I guess. And he, after that, like the next day after that date, he like didn't talk to me at all. I knew he had plans with his friends and stuff, but it was just like, it made my like lights go off of like, oh, like
what are the chances he could feel
rejected?
yeah, just a little.
There's a huge chance.
Like, did you guys talk about that? Like, were you just like, nah, or were you just, you know, when you stopped the physical intimacy from going any further? Like, how did you communicate that? Was it like, hey, I really, really like you, and I really like where this is going, but like, I move a little slower, and like, I don't want to get physical with you before I know what this is, or were you just more like, I don't think we should?
I just said I don't think we should.
Okay.
I don't like to do that like so early on when I'm seeing someone that I like.
Oh, so you did say that you like.
I mean, like I guess, like I said, like I'm enjoying.
Well, that
getting
last
to know
part
you.
it's really important. I'm really curious. Did you actually
Yeah.
communicate that last part, or did you think that part but only communicated that I just don't want to?
Okay, let me rephrase. When I said it, I said I don't do that so early on. And since we're still seeing each other and this is new and don't know where this is going, like I just don't want to like be intimate yet. That's where so I think I wasn't direct with him.
So that, yeah, if I'm hearing that, it's unclear how she feels about me.
Gotcha.
It's like, okay, like is yeah, it might just feel like you've already turned them down. So like
Yeah.
what did you mean when you say I don't chase men? Like, what does that mean to you?
I just like my biggest rule is like if you're confused, then he doesn't like you. But from what you're saying, it kind of sounds like you think I'm not being direct and like making him confused. So it could be like a matter of like miscommunication.
I just think there's definitely, like, when I say, or when it's necessary for anyone, your friends, me, people online, to say things like, if he wanted to, he would, you know, shit like that. Those are usually communicated to people who like can't take the hint. You know, it's you're saying it to the people who are constantly making excuses for the person they've been hanging out with for a period of time. They're stuck in this like never-ending situationship. They're always like talking to our friends about how like he's a really good guy, but you know, and your friends are like, you know, well, if he really wanted to hang out with you, he would, you know, like when you've hooked up with a guy a couple times and then he really does go dark on you, but says things like, we should hang out sometime in the future. But like, you're like, when is sometime and what does the future mean? And you're just sitting by your phone waiting for him to reach out, and then he does at like 11 p.m. and it's kind of like you get the you up text and things like that.
Right.
That's when like you need to say things like, if he wanted to, he would. Like, let's be real here, you know? You're applying you're applying the if he wanted to, he would, with someone that you're describing as someone who, more than you, has like pursued a relationship, this type of relationship. He's been rejected by you a little bit, followed up with you, has reached out in between dates in ways that a lot of women out there would be like, I've never had a guy say things like, I hope you're having a great week and I can't wait to see you, you know? Like, those are nice moments, and that's awesome that you're taking it slow, but you do have to give him something too, you know? Like, in 2025, listen, I think it's hard to date out there, and I think it's difficult to be a guy and date out there these days. I understand there's been a lot of bad actors, and I think historically over the years, certainly men in a patriarchal society have had a lot of advantages that women haven't had. But like in 2025, it's just like any good guy who wants to pay attention to the climate out there and wants to listen to women and their frustrations of how men have behaved in the past. It can be confusing, you know, to be like, am I supposed to approach women in public, or am I supposed to never talk to them? Because like, honestly, I'm getting mixed signals from people, you know? Do I pursue, or do I like take a hint? I don't want to be aggressive and creepy, you know, like we used to watch movies and films, and like you'd hear stories about like, I had to ask her 20 times to marry me before she said yes. And like in 2025, that version sounds like a stalker.
Right.
You know, you're
it
like,
does. You're right. Yeah.
you know, what is romance in 2025? It's like, ask a guy, you're going to get 20 different, and it's like, I don't, like, am I supposed to pursue it? Because I don't want a restraining order against me.
Yeah, totally.
She told me she didn't want to hang out anymore. So like, cool. And I'm not, you know, like, obviously this is, I'm speaking in broad generalities, but
you're speaking from a guy's perspective, which I need to hear.
Yeah, and just or just like I'm assuming this guy's a decent guy, and if everything you're telling me, I would be like not entirely sure. And it also kind of remind me, like when you told me about like, oh, we both went on trips on 4th of July. There, you know, in my single days, there was this girl I really liked, right? And honestly, like, I mean, I pursued her for a couple of years, to be honest, off and on. You know, I met her right before I went on The Bachelorette.
Okay.
I met her at the clubs, and I thought she was very attractive. And I hadn't met someone in a long time that I got excited about. And she was a bottle service girl. Which is funny because she ended up getting a job in software sales. But at the time, all my buddies made fun of me because they just referred to her as bottle service girl.
Oh, wow. The nicknames.
But I thought she was very attractive. And then I met her, I asked her out, and then she like put her name in my phone. And I was like, I went home that night being like excited. And then I followed up with her to ask her out, and she like never went out with me. And then I kept, and her communication patterns were super weird. And finally I just got so tired of like asking her, but she was like, almost like vented like, hey, I'm sorry. I just got out of a relationship, blah, 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 blah. And then like 2 months later, I went on The Bachelor, and then I got back, and then she had moved out to California. I was living in Chicago, and then I ended up moving to LA. And then like we ended up, after The Bachelor, like we hung out a couple times, and it was kind of awkward, and like nothing really happened. And then and then we lost touch again, and then we reconnected again. And then finally, like we actually started dating, where we like, got together, we hooked up, and blah, blah, blah. And there was like, there was a real bond there. And for a moment, I was like, oh, I think she really likes me. I think I like her. And then I went home for Christmas and New Year's, and then we just like lost touch. And I think we were both just kind of like not sure how to pursue things. I was in my head because I had tried so hard in the past, and she just, she had her awkward side and her awkward moments, and I had mine too. And we were both kind of being awkward at times, and we were just like, but I think we both kind of liked each other. And ultimately, like we never worked out, but this was a person who like, we kept finding our way back to each other. And ultimately just, she's happy in life, and I'm happy in life, and whatever. It didn't work out. But my point is like, sometimes two people can like each other and just not be the best communicators. And you're kind of in your head about like, does this person like me or not like me? Especially since you had already rejected him once, you might have to be the one who puts themselves out there and say, I've really enjoyed me getting to know you. No pressure. I know like in the past, but like, I do like where this is going, and I'm sorry. And I forgot to mention, like, the other night we had a really nice date, and I kind of stopped things from moving forward. Like, I stopped it because I do like you, and I wanted to see where this is going. And I don't think I really said that to you. And like, who knows? You might put yourself out there, and he might be like, well, listen,
he's over it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I'm good. But I don't think in 2025, women who have like core principles, who generally say like, I don't chase. I don't like, there's a difference between being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and not chasing. And I think you know what I'm saying? And I think you're having a hard time seeing the difference between the two. And I think it's okay for anyone in any dating situation, heterosexual, gay relationship, lesbians, whatever. Like sometimes it just requires you to be vulnerable, put yourself out there and say, hey, I like where this is going. I like you. That's not you chasing. That's giving
Yeah.
someone a green light. That's giving someone permission to also be vulnerable and see if they want to then pursue you and like make plans and take the initiative. But like men do need to be validated. Men need to receive signals that they're making good decisions, that their efforts are being well received. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that you made do what you want to do. But as you heard me say, I think hooking up on the third date with someone you really like complicates things, and it
I
might.
think I would have felt worse if it.
Sure, and he might have confused already having sex with you with being like, I don't know if there's anything to get to know. Sex fucks up men's perspective when it comes to dating. You know,
Yeah.
And I think it fucks up women's perspective differently.
Yeah,
But
for
either
sure.
way, while you made the right decision for yourself and probably for the chance of this relationship, you still rejected him. Not that you have anything to apologize for, but like it's just knowing that like, all right, well, just it's just not about like, oh, the fragile male eagle. I don't know, like it's just making sure that he just knows that you're not rejecting him. You're just staying true to yourself, and you're just saying no to like getting intimate. It has nothing to do with rejecting him. And I think sometimes it can be very confusing as a guy, but like it seems like he likes you, or at least there's something there. And I think maybe he is just, it wouldn't surprise me the way you're describing this if he's getting a little tired of pursuing you without like really knowing if you're into him.
Yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying. I mean, I agree. I think like both of us have been really poor about communicating like vocally, like how like the first date, like I think we both communicated that. Like he told me like, and it was first date, so I'm taking it with a grain of salt essentially. I know I sound so cynical, but like I'm a little guarded when I date.
Yeah,
But he was just saying like, I think you're really great. Like we get along really well, and like I really see myself like being like, serious with you. He was saying a lot in the first date that I was like just telling me kind of essentially how he feels like about pursuing me again. And I reciprocated. I told him I also feel like the same way, and in the terms of I really enjoy hanging out with you and getting to know you, and like you're someone that I thought about after we ended. And I told him I very much vocalized those things. And
is that when you first kind of popped back in, or?
Yes, that was first date, second date. We kind of like talked about those things. But I did say, I will preface, maybe this is where the hesitation on his end is coming. I said, like, I don't know exactly like how soon we should, like when we would get there, but like, I'm excited to just like get to know you right now and like, just see where we go.
Have you ever asked him out?
No, never asked him out on a date.
I think that's okay to do.
When do you think that's like okay? I guess like it doesn't matter. Like you can always ask someone out on a date, but like we were just so new that I was like, okay, like when do I take the initiative to like plan something? Because he had.
Well, you've already been on
everything.
several dates, so you don't even have to be so like, hey, do you want to go on a date? You could just be like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'd love to see you again.
That's true. This is true. So like, I guess like where my hesitation is right now, like when he messaged me on Instagram, we were talking. And he said, like, let me know when you're free. I said, I'm free Sunday. And I never got a response. So that's where I'm like a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a little bit of
confused.
rejection.
Right. Like, I don't know, like, what is going on. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's obviously like a conversation can happen.
Sunday has
like,
passed, I'm guessing.
Sunday has passed. It's about to be a week since Sunday.
I don't know. Give him a hard time, text him and be like, I'm just going to, I do think you can get your answer a lot faster by just putting yourself out there a little bit more and seeing if he wants to hang out with you or not.
Yeah.
Him not responding on Instagram is a little bit of rejection, and that's definitely a little bit of a wrench for sure. And like, but I just remember so many times in dating situations where I was like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know. And
Yeah.
If I were you, I would at least be like, all you're risking is a little bit of ego embarrassment and a little bit of like, again, there's a huge difference between chasing and putting yourself out there.
Agree.
And you're better off just putting yourself out there enough to get the answer to whatever question you want, because I don't think you don't seem like the type of person who easily chases. And the type of chasing I think you really need to be mindful not to do is like when it's so obvious he's not that into you.
That's I mean,
And
that's
you
what I
keep
wrote
sitting
in.
around hanging and trying to make excuses and like, you know, talk to the girlfriends who say things like, well, no, he's just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, he's just like really busy. And like this one time I thought I got, you know, and it's like, and they come up with all excuse in the book why you should just sit by your phone and wait. Like that's not what you're doing.
Well, do you think it should be this complicated so early on? Like,
I think in 2025 we all have a way of overcomplicating dating.
right.
You know, like we would be a lot more successful in dating if all of us were to stop like waiting for the perfect person. If we're meeting people on the apps, get to the point much faster, you know, get on at least a Zoom date or a FaceTime date, have a cup of coffee, figure it the fuck out. When you meet someone you like, just pursue that until it run its course. If you like someone, be exclusive sooner than later. Call someone a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Be willing to break up. But like now it's, well, I don't know if I like labels and let's just play it out. And you know, everyone's like, let's not rushing into something turns into like a year-long courting process. And it's just, while everyone's just like making sure like, well, I don't, you know, it's like they're treating like calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend is like the new like husband and wife,
Yeah.
you know? And I think we all like overcomplicate things. So does it have to be as complicated? No, but I think we all kind of do that a little bit because, you know, we don't want to put ourselves out there. We don't want to get rejected. We don't, it's like, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And if I were you, I would just text the guy and maybe you can give him a hard time. You can not give him a hard time. You could ignore the fact that he didn't respond to you. Be like, I'm just going to assume you didn't see my DM, but I want to see you again.
Okay. I can do that.
When are you free? Just be direct. Just be direct. You know, he's either, if he likes you, he'll be like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, she wants to hang out. I fuck with this chick. I'm free. And if he doesn't like you, you're going to if he blows that off, then I would shut it down.
Then that's my answer for sure.
Yeah. If you're very direct by like, I'd love to see you again when you're free. And he doesn't, and he just, I don't know. Then if he like comes around again, you can be like, well, I don't know. You know.
Yeah, totally.
No, you can be like, hey, I'm not free. Sorry, I blew you off. I'm not free this weekend. Hound out next weekend. And then you get together next weekend. You know, it's like, okay, cool.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Like, you've hung out with this guy long. You've hung out with this guy enough to know whether like do you want to like date this guy? Like how many more dates do you need to go on to decide whether this is someone you want to really get to know?
I mean, to be honest, like after our first 3 dates, like I felt like pretty comfortable with that idea. Like I don't normally let myself get there. Normally, like I'm pretty like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, just in the sense of like I don't know how I even feel about this person before I like want to like pursue more. And like I did allow myself to kind of pass that part of it of my head and just be more excited about the possibility of us potentially going further and potentially dating. But then since things started getting kind of choppy with like our communication and just like we hadn't seen each other, like I kind of like detached from that since.
But that's just your ego protecting you from like feeling rejected and
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Essentially, I think you need to ask this guy out on a date and go on a date. And then on that date, if it's feeling good again, if the vibes are vibing and it feels like the other dates you've had, maybe you could just be more honest with him. Just feel like, hey, like I'm into this. And if you feel like it's necessary to like be like, hey, you know, I know last time, like I wasn't rejecting you. I move like physically, I move pretty slow because I like you. I like you. I like what I know so far, you know, and say that, you know.
Yeah.
I think
like what I know
I think it's a perfect line for people, especially for men who like, it's like, ooh, you like me? You know, like I like what I know so far. And at first you hit them with the, I like you. And you're like, oh, they like me. And then so far it's like, oh, I have more to prove. You know, it's like, it kind of keeps people in check.
Yeah.
But I really like this so far. And like, I've been really enjoying it. And like, I know I've been kind of wishy-washy before, but like, I kind of want to see where this is going. And like, I feel like I've been a little confusing, and I feel like our communicate and just call it out. Just be like, you know what I'm saying? Like that story I told you in the past, like again, like I couldn't be more thrilled with my life now. And I haven't like talked to this person in a long time, but it sounds like she's also could not be more thrilled with her life, and I couldn't be more thrilled for her. But like in an alternate universe, let's say she was someone that like, you know, I'm still, let's say I was like miserably single at this point in my life. And that was like the way that relationship ended. There was a like, we didn't really pursue anything.
Right.
It just stopped. And usually that stuff happens for a reason anyways, but like you just don't want, you like see it through. Either have this person reject you or realize that he's not someone you mess with or like compatibility, but don't just like, well, I'm not sure if
Wait.
he's supposed to reach out. I'm supposed to reach out, and like, just figure it the fuck out. Just put yourself out there. Just ask the questions you want answers to. That's not the same as chasing.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good approach. I was like kind of bummed if it was going to end in like him ghosting me, because like I don't like doing that to people, and I don't think anyone deserves it. So I think this is a good way for us to at least like have a conversation, if anything, and not ghost each other.
Yeah. Because it just seems like, yeah, the way you're describing is just like, I don't know, I'm kind of hanging out with this chick, and she's like, I don't know, it's kind of cool when I see her, but like, I don't know. I don't really
Yeah.
know. And like,
But I have told him. Let's not forget, I have told him. Maybe not like fully like I like
listen,
you.
he might hate you at this point. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But that's not really the point. Is like there's enough there to, from what you're telling me, to know that he could be somewhat confused or just not sure how he feels, or just also have his guard up a little bit because you've been hard to read. Like you strike me as someone who could be a little hard to read, and you're like, because you have a wall up and you are guarded, and people who are guarded and who can like, you know how to enforce a boundary. That's difficult for a lot of people to do, especially people your age. And he might see that as confusing.
Totally.
And hard to read. So
I have gotten that in the past. So
yeah.
that checks. Okay, cool.
All right. And listen,
Awesome.
a little rejection doesn't, you know, it's whatever.
It's character building.
Yeah.
I just have to like lean into it. I don't like to lean into it, but I agree with you. I think it's worth the conversation.
If he likes you, he will be glad you reached out, and he'll be glad that you, like, I remember pursuing this one girl I was telling you about, and honestly, I was just kind of so tired of like what the, I'm so fucking confused by her. Like I would text her, and then I wouldn't hear from her, and then she like texts me back at 11 p.m. I was like, what? Like this isn't normal. Like I don't like, what the fuck? And it's like, you know,
yeah.
like,
is that something that was important to you? Like when you texted someone, like having like response back, like within like that same day?
Well, yeah, but that's just like a pet peeve of mine. But but my point is that like, I don't know what was going on in her. She had her own shit and things that was, I'm sure, going on in her head, or who knows.
Totally.
But I'm just saying, like, this was a person I liked enough to pursue a few times. He has shown that with you, right? You have taken things slow a little bit. You've had your guard up by your own admission, and he just might be having a hard time reading you. And I'm saying, if he likes you, you being a little direct and assertive with like wanting to spend time with him, he will. I don't know, when this girl like did that with me, I was like, great, finally, all right, cool. She like, you know,
some validation.
Yeah, I was like, because otherwise, like, am I just playing myself by like, is she just enjoying, like, you know, I think a lot of guys know what it's like to be fucked with too. You know, just have a girl who just chasing a girl who just likes to be chased.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And he's just not sure if he wants to, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys know what that feeling is like. And maybe he just senses that a little bit in you.
I think I do forget the part of like validating the man too. Sometimes, not all the time, but
yeah, I mean, yeah.
When it's, I feel like when the feeling's mutual and like you guys both have respect for each other, I think there's nothing wrong with validating a man. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Let me know when you're like the Instagram, not text. That's just you reading into it. He probably just, I don't know, saw an Instagram story, replied to that, and then just think, I don't know. He has now gotten to this, like, this is like a cat, like, I don't know. I'm just he describes to his buddies, I'm kind of talking to this girl.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of where we're at.
You know?
Like, I don't even know what to say what we're doing at this point. So.
Because you're both kind of like, I don't know. to just fucking put 2 feet in and say, fuck it. Like, I don't know.
Someone's got to, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Cool.
All
right.
Let me know.
Thank
Curious
you so
what
much.
happens.
Yeah, I'll reach out and let you guys know.
All right.
If he responds. If he doesn't, then you have your answer.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.